Everyone, and thank you for joining me and taking some time today to learn about how you can take your PowerPoint slides, turn them into images so that you can use them in Evernote during lectures. So here I have a PowerPoint that I've opened. We're going to call it Sample Lecture. And the first thing I'm going to want to do is turn this PowerPoint into images that I can bring into my Evernote. So I'm going to start by going over here to File, and I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to choose Save as Pictures. It's going to ask me what I would like to choose as my title. So I'm just going to go ahead and save as Sample Lecture Images. It's going to ask me where I want to do this. I always recommend the desktop just because it's easy to drag right into your Evernote. And then the format we're going to want to choose is JPEG. So once we have all of that done, let's go ahead and hit Save. And it's going to tell me that each slide of my presentation has been saved as a separate file in a folder on my desktop called Sample Lecture Images. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit OK. And now I can go ahead and exit out of my PowerPoint. When I exit out of my PowerPoint, I will now notice that I have a new folder on my desktop called Sample Lecture Images. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to open this up. I'm going to select all of my images. Now, depending upon your settings, you may see them as icons, or if you have a list view, you may see them as a list. So just depends upon the settings on your device. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of these items. I'm going to come down, I'm going to choose Evernote. Let me make this a little bit smaller so I can see both my screens. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new note. I'm going to call this note Sample Lecture Slides. And I'm going to take these images and I'm going to drag them into my Evernote. It says you need to sync for text recognition. If you haven't synced before, you're going to want to do that so that Evernote is able to read the text or the handwriting of the images that you have brought in. So it's going to go ahead and it's going to add these lectures to my slides. So now that I have my slides in my note, I can go ahead and now begin doing a couple of things. I can start off by perhaps, taking just some notes on the topic. Perhaps I want to add in some bullet points and say, whatever the notes are. One of the things I can also do before the lecture begins is get ready to record what's going to be said today. And I do this simply by clicking on the microphone right over here and recording the audio. One of the great things about being able to record the audio is that there really is no need now to write down every single thing your professor is saying, and it really sort of allows you some more time to absorb, process, and work with the information during the lecture, allowing you to really transform the information into something that's meaningful to you while also being able to have a better understanding. Now, one of the great things you can do with the images in Evernote is if we go ahead and just sort of pull our cursor over the image, one of the things that we can do is if we do a right click or a double tap if you're on a Mac, we can go ahead and actually annotate this image directly in our note. So we can go ahead and select this first option right over here, which says annotate this image. You'll notice it brings me to a new screen. And on the left-hand side, I have a couple of options. My first one is to be able to sort of add in, an arrow pointing directly to some things maybe specific that I really need to highlight. I can also here add in some text. If I want to change the formatting, I can go ahead and I've got some tools to do that right over here. I can change the color. I can go ahead and I can add in some shapes. I can use the pen tool over here to go ahead and mark up specific information that's significant. And as always, if I do something accidentally, a simple Control Z will undo the function, or I can come right up over here to edit and I can just do undo text over there as well, or whatever my last action was. This is kind of awesome because over here, if say maybe this is, important information over here, I can go ahead and mark it with these tags. So for example, maybe I don't really understand what this word means. And now I've added the stamp in over here. And this is a really great tool because it sort of reminds me, hey, you know what, maybe in that study session or when I go home, I need to send my professor an email or speak with them later because I have a question about what that term means. Another great option I have over here is to blur something. So maybe there's a part of an image that, maybe I'm showing a patient or I'm showing a disorder or something and I don't want to show the person's face. One of the things I can do is I can blur out a certain section of my image. Over here we have a crop tool. Maybe I don't need everything that's here, and so I can go ahead and I can crop it to fit it to what I want it to be. Once I have my settings all correct, I can go over here, hit apply, and it will now resize and bring my image accordingly. So those are again some of the great annotation features that you have available to you as you are working through the slides, again really allowing you to process and sort of transform the information into what's meaningful to you instead of having to sit and sort of scribble down every single word that is being said. So again, this is another great reason why Evernote can be so useful to you. Again, remember from our last tutorial, one of the things we said was very important was this idea of adding tags. So here I know this is something about maybe I want to mark this, kidney is going to be a tag that I might choose, and anything else that is relevant to the lecture. And of course, as the professor goes through the lecture, I can simply scroll down and again, I can sort of add information as I need to. I can highlight and I can keep choosing to annotate these different images and so on and so forth. As always, if you have any questions at all, especially on this entire process, as sometimes it can be a little tricky to sort of wrap your head around the first time round, definitely come and see me. I'm available anytime you need. You can send me an email or just come visit me and knock on the door, and I'd be more than happy to help you.